Hello, this is Guido, and today I want to show you guys how you can trade on FTX. And FTX is by now one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges or derivative exchanges, and where you can actually trade futures or just buy spot and Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So it's actually in competition to BitMEX and Binance. However, quite often you see this Binance logo now on FTX. As you may know, Binance is the biggest cryptocurrency exchange in the world. And that's because, or you see the logo, because Binance invested in FTX. Because FTX is quite a big platform in terms of future contracts, and you have a large variety of future contracts that you can trade there. So it was actually an interesting investment for Binance to do. If you don't have an account with FTX yet, feel free to use my link down below. With that link, you can actually save up to, or you will actually save 5% on trading fees for an indefinite amount of time. So feel free to use that. Once you have an account, you can actually start trading immediately. In order to open your account, you don't really need to verify your identity. You only need to verify your identity if you want to withdraw more than 1,000 USD per day, or the cryptocurrency equivalent of 1,000 USD per day. So if you want to do that, you need to verify your identity. If not, you can just trade with just giving them your email address and set up a password and everything. So you don't need to upload your ID or passport. And once you have an account, you need to deposit money in order to start trading on FTX. In order to do that, you just click here on Wallet. And then you can see you can either deposit USD. However, that's not a wire transfer or not real USD. That are USD stable coins. We will get to that in a second. Or you could deposit Bitcoin. So as I said, you can deposit USD stable coins. So if you click on deposit, you can see you could actually deposit True USD, TUSD, USDC, PEX, and so on. However, for most of you, it's probably easier to just deposit Bitcoin on FTX. So in order to do that, you just click on deposit, and then you get like a BTC address where you can send your BTC to. Once you did that and the transaction is confirmed, you can actually start trading immediately. So it usually takes, it depends, like 10 to 30 minutes until the transaction is confirmed, and then you can start trading. So if you have money now on your account in order to trade, you can either go to markets here, then see all the different markets that you can trade on FTX, or you just click here. That are basically all the coins and cryptocurrencies that you can trade on FTX. And then you have different kind of contracts. So let's look at BTC first. So you can actually buy spot BTC, meaning you could buy real BTC. Assuming you have USDC or TUSD, some kind of USD stablecoin that you could send to FTX, then you send it to FTX, and then you can just buy regular Bitcoin. However, more popular on FTX are actually the future contracts and all the other trading contracts. So you have a btc-perp. It's actually a BTC perpetual. It's similar to the BitMEX perpetual contract. So it's actually a Bitcoin contract that runs for an indefinite amount of time. So it doesn't have an expiration date. And you can just enter the position and theoretically leave it open forever. However, for that you pay funding every 8 hours. And the current funding rate you can see here. And how it works is funding really depends if most of the people are short or long. So right now the funding rate is positive. That basically means most people are probably long. So that's why longs are paying shorts. And here you have to pay every 8 hours 0.0017%, and that changes with every funding. So every 8 hours changes. And if you would go short here, you would actually receive that amount, or here it changes more often actually. And if you would go short, you would receive that amount with the next funding. And besides the perpetual contract, you could also trade contracts with an expiration date. For example, here for March 2020. And here you can see the expiration date. It's March 27th and the time. And the advantage is that you don't pay funding for that. So you can just enter the position with a one-time fee, and then you don't have to pay funding every few hours. And there's also one for June 2020. And besides the futures contracts, which are the most popular ones, you could also trade BTC move contracts that are basically contracts that are bound to the absolute value of the change of the BTC price per day. However, I will talk about that in a more advanced video. And right now it's probably enough if you know about the spot contracts and the future contracts. And there, if we look at EOS, for example, there are also some special tokens. For example, that's an EOS Bull token, that's an ERC20 token they came up with. And that's basically 3 times the return EOS did per day. So 3 times the daily return. That's some kind of special contract they did. So that you could also trade. However, most people that start out on FTX actually trade futures contracts. And you can see you can trade futures for all cryptocurrencies here. And it's probably also important to know you can go short or long. So you can actually short all the cryptocurrencies here. And that's not really possible on other platforms like Binance, for example. So you can also only short some cryptocurrencies, and it's the same for BitMEX. So FTX is basically the platform where you can short probably by far the most altcoins compared to other platforms. So let's look how you can actually enter a position. And it's more or less the same for spot contracts or futures contracts. So let's look at the futures contracts, and because they are the most popular here. And right now you can see the Bitcoin price is at 7,327. And I will move that to the side. And here you could actually enter that position. So let's say you want to buy either 1 Bitcoin or half a Bitcoin. You can just say, okay, you want to buy half a Bitcoin. You can either do a limit, a market order, and then you could also do later stop market and stop limit and trading stops and so on. However, let's start with a market order or limit order. And a limit order is basically something where you said, okay, you only want to enter that contract for a fixed price. So let's say the current price is 7,330, and you say, okay, if the price drops to 7,200, you actually want to buy 1 Bitcoin, and then you can see the leverage here is chosen automatically. However, you can also choose it on your own. And then you can just say buy. And then you can see you don't have a position yet because the price is higher. It's at 7,330 or so. But you can see here an open order that will only get executed when the price drops to 7,200 USD. And you can say cancel. And now the order is out of the order book. If you actually want to enter an order immediately or get into a position immediately, you can just say, okay, I want to do a market order. and that way the order will be executed immediately to the best price available. So let's say we want to buy a futures contract for half a Bitcoin. You can just say, okay, I want to do a market order. Then you click buy, and you can see we have now our position as half a Bitcoin. And here you can see the size, the liquidation price. So the liquidation price is basically if the price for one Bitcoin drops to 6,669, then you will get liquidated. Here you can see the current price, and you can see your profit and loss. And you can, of course, close your position every time. Just click market close. And now it's closed again. That's the way if you want to long a contract. You can also go short. So it's basically the same. You can do a limit or a market order. You just set a price and then you do sell. So let's say you want to go short if the price goes up to 7,800 USD. You say, okay, maybe one Bitcoin. Sell. And then you can see you have a order placed again in your order book because it's a limit order, which will automatically execute if the price goes up to 7,800 USD. And then it will basically start shorting Bitcoin. And you can cancel it, of course, all the time. So that's how you enter an order for a perpetual contract. It would be basically the same for a contract with an expiration date, as you can see. And if you want to buy spot, it's also the same. You can do a limit or market order and so on. So that's how you enter a position, the different order types you have. And here you can actually see the order book. So you have all the buy orders and all the sell orders here. Here you have the latest trades. And here you actually have the chart where you can see how the price went in the last few hours. And you could also change that. Right now a candle is 5 minutes. You could also change that to, let's say, an hour. And then every candle would be like an hour. And a green candle is when the price went up during that hour. A red candle is when the price went down during that hour. So that's the most important things you need to know about FTX. And as I said, there are a lot of contract types, but when you start out, you just should start using the regular futures contracts and maybe some spot purchases. But as you get more familiar with it, you can start to test out all these other contracts as well. And they work basically the same. It's just that they are developed to have like some special price relationship. So it really depends on your trading style when you want to use it. However, most people actually trade the perpetual contracts, as you can see here with the volume. You can see the volume for the Bitcoin perpetual contract was 255 million in the last 24 hours, and for Ethereum it was only 14 million, and then it goes down pretty quickly. Okay, that's it. If you have any more questions, please feel free to use the comments down below. I would also like if you would like the video, and if you have any questions, as I said, use the comments down below, and I will probably do a more advanced video in the future to show you some more tricks on FTX. So that's it, and thanks for watching.